copy version, not the 10 pager version. Okay?
Audio Jungle.
Good evening. It is a joy to welcome you to the opening night ceremonies of the virtual 130th DAR Continental Congress. Our theme is Proud to be an American, and tonight we will together rise all across this great land to express our love of country and our appreciation for the hard-won liberties that shaped our American heritage and destiny. We begin by counting our blessings. Our invocation will be provided by Pamela Peterson Bork, our Chaplain General. Mrs. Bork.
Madam President General, our scripture this evening is from James 1, verse 25. But those who look upon the perfect law of liberty and persevere, being not hearers who forget, but doers who act, they will be blessed in their doing. I invite you to pray in your faith and tradition as I pray in mine. Let us pray together. Gracious God, we ask your blessing upon us tonight as we join from near and far to celebrate the opening night of the 130th Continental Congress. As we gather virtually here in Constitution Hall, we are reminded of all the blessings of liberty that we as Americans enjoy, for this beautiful land that we love, for our cherished freedoms of speech, worship, and assembly, for those who sacrifice so that we can continue to enjoy these freedoms. We are so grateful for the award recipients honored here tonight, who exemplify love of country, leadership, knowledge, and service. We thank you for your abiding presence in the life of our country and ask your continued blessing on our nation, its leaders, and its citizens. Amen.
Please rise and participate from home as we together recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now, please join with me in reciting the American's Creed, followed by singing the first verse of the national anthem.
I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy and a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies.
Didn't that feel wonderful to know that we are joining together once again to recite the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag and to sing our national anthem? We are already off to a great start. Please be seated. There's no disputing that our nation faced some of its most difficult days during the last year. But as you will witness throughout the coming days, that did not stop today's DAR from rising and shining for America. Thank you, daughters, for millions of hours of community volunteerism and for keeping alive a flame simply too important to be extinguished. We have much to celebrate indeed, and so let us begin. Now, while you may not be here with me in Washington, D.C., I want to assure you that I am presiding over this virtual Congress from the stage of a nearly fully restored DAR Constitution Hall. But wait! We want to build your suspense for seeing the beautiful result of our monumental efforts. You will need to join us on Friday night during our DAR Constitution Hall celebration for that first look at our restored historic venue. And trust me, it is a celebration that you will not want to miss. Much like last year, the format of our 130th Continental Congress departs from the typical bustling in-person event that we all know so well. But you have my pledge that the business of Congress and its familiar hallmarks will continue in every way possible. So please allow me to share greetings from the President of the United States, sent to be read to the Assembly. And so I ask you to please rise. You may be seated. The Mayor of the District of Columbia, the Honorable Muriel Bowser, has also sent us greetings. As Mayor of Washington, D.C., it's my pleasure to extend greetings to members of the Daughters of the American Revolution on the occasion of your 130th Continental Congress. Since its founding in 1890, DAR has been dedicated to promoting patriotism, preserving American history, and securing America's future through better education for children. Each year, nearly 190,000 DAR members volunteer millions of hours in their local communities across the United States and around the world. On this occasion, you will have an opportunity to meet virtually with fellow volunteers to network and discuss issues of concern that affect the mission of your organization. During this Continental Congress, DAR is also scheduled to unveil the recently remodeled Constitution Hall. Congratulations on the completion of this project to restore this auditorium to its original beauty. On behalf of the 712,000 residents of Washington, D.C., I wish you an enjoyable and memorable event. Signed by Muriel Bowser, Mayor, Washington, D.C. Thank you, Mayor Bowser. Our society shares a special bond with the children of the American Revolution, and it is a pleasure to present Jacob Schattinger, National President of the CAR, for greetings.
Madam President General, it is an honor to bring greetings to the 130th Annual DAR Continental Congress on behalf of the 10,000 members of the National Society of the Children of the American Revolution. CAR is successful due to the invaluable support of DAR, and we are so very grateful for the time daughters spend mentoring and engaging with our members. This past year, our joint initiative with the Masks for Kids project helps demonstrate how CAR and DAR can achieve more when we rise and shine as a team. CAR's mission is to train good citizens, develop leaders, and promote patriotism amongst young people in the United States. Our members and alumni may be found serving all levels of DAR as officers, chairmen, and pages, and we truly value our organization's partnership, joint history, and our future, stronger together. We congratulate you on a successful Congress and look forward to a fantastic upcoming year.
Thank you, Jacob, and best wishes for a wonderful term in office. The DAR, of course, also shares a long-standing friendship with the National Society Sons of the American Revolution. John T. Manning, President General of the Sons of the American Revolution, has sent greetings on behalf of the SAR.
President General Van Buren, distinguished guests, and ladies of the DAR, I am honored to bring greetings once again to the Daughters of the American Revolution from the National Society Sons of the American Revolution on the occasion of the 130th Congress. Both of our organizations have had another challenging year during which we were able to meet mostly virtually. However, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel and look forward to resuming in-person celebration and events where we can continue to educate and promote our missions of keeping alive the history of our country and how it was formed. I wish you a productive Continental Congress as you plan your exciting year ahead. God bless our troops, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, John, and best wishes to SAR in the year to come. We're grateful for these greetings to launch our 130th Continental Congress. Though we may not be together in person, we are united in spirit as today's daughters, and we are tuning in from around the world.
I'm Lindsay Munn from the Jean Ribaud chapter, tuning in from sunny Jacksonville Beach, Florida.
I'm from Geneva, Ohio.
Tuning in from the Old North Bridge in Concord, Massachusetts, where it all began.
Tuning in from Branchville, New Jersey.
Tuning in from Chesterfield, Missouri.
Tuning in from Benton, Virginia.
Tuning in from San Diego.
Tuning in from Lisbon, Portugal.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm from Knickerbocker chapter, and I'm tuning in from New York City.
Ni hao. That's hello in Mandarin. I'm Melissa Casey from the La Jolla, California chapter, tuning in from beautiful but very humid Singapore.
We are today's DAR.
DAR is a dynamic group of women from all over the world, from all socioeconomic groups, of all ages, united in a common purpose.
I love DAR because of the camaraderie and the support from the women in the DAR.
I love DAR because of the sisterhood.
I love DAR because it helps me feel close to my family.
I joined because of my grandmother.
I love DAR because it allows me to walk in the footsteps of my ancestors.
I love DAR because of our mission statement, God, home, and country.
I love the DAR because we get to honor and remember our Revolutionary War patriots who fought so we can have the freedoms we have today.
I love DAR because it celebrates American history and supports service to our communities.
I love DAR because I love knowing that I have an organization and a power to make a difference in my community.
I love DAR because of the wonderful things we do.
And what I love about DAR are all the wonderful friendships I've made since joining.
My favorite thing about Congress are all the friends.
My favorite part about Congress is seeing all of my friends from outside of the state of Texas.
My favorite thing about Congress is the fellowship between DAR sisters.
My favorite thing about Congress is opening night.
The flag drop when the red, white, and blue welcome us into Constitution Hall.
My favorite thing about Congress is shopping.
My favorite part of Congress is National Defense Night.
Is the gathering together of all of my DAR compatriots from across the country.
Together, we joined to celebrate all the accomplishments of DAR over the past year.
Let's rise and shine.
Let's rise and shine.
Let's rise and shine for Congress Online. I'm today's DAR. I am today's DAR.
I'm today's DAR. I'm today's DAR.
I am today's DAR.
I am today's DAR.
I'm 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 today's DAR.
Tonight's opening night ceremony is devoted to expressing a citizen's pride in our long-standing democracy within a republic, the United States of America. Each of us expresses our love of country in our own unique and heartfelt ways. This evening, we will honor fellow Americans who evidence their patriotism through acts of committed citizenship, work to preserve our nation's history, and the sharing of time and talent to breathe new energy into our vibrant American spirit. Our National Society has a long and storied history of extending a warm welcome to the newest Americans, those who travel from other countries to become naturalized U.S. citizens, many of whom leave war-torn or impoverished homelands to seek a better life for themselves and for their families. It's a special privilege for our chapters to host naturalization ceremonies to congratulate these new Americans across the country, and to watch them raise their hands and recite the Pledge of Allegiance as brand new citizens is truly a moving experience. Knowing that they come to pursue the opportunity of America makes naturalization a both solemn and magical moment, for our nation is the stuff of which big dreams are made. Please welcome the National Chair of the Americanism Committee, Elizabeth Cagle, as she introduces to us one such American success story, this year's recipient of our society's Americanism Medal.
Thank you, Madam President General. Tonight, we recognize an outstanding naturalized citizen for his contributions to his adopted nation and to humanity as part of the Americanisms Committee work to honor those who demonstrate extraordinary qualities of leadership, trustworthiness, service, and patriotism. Furthermore, he has reminded us all of an essential element of citizenship, kindness to one another. It is an honor for me to ask Madam President General that you present the DAR Americanism Medal to Daniel Lubetzky. When the Nazis invaded Poland in 1939, Daniel's 9-year-old father was sent with his family first to live in a Jewish ghetto and then to the Dachau concentration camp. They remained there until it was liberated by American soldiers. Daniel's father and grandfather immigrated to Mexico, arriving with nothing more than the clothes they wore and a dream. Daniel was born in Mexico City in 1968. The Lubetskys immigrated to San Antonio when Daniel was 16, and he became a naturalized U.S. citizen in 2001. While you may not recognize his name, you may recognize his snack company, Kind. The founder of Kind, Daniel is a business leader, investor, and social entrepreneur working to build bridges between people and increase appreciation for our shared humanity. Kind is more than just a business focused on healthy snacks. When Lubetzky founded the company in 2004, he also established the Kind Foundation and Kind Movement, committing to fostering kinder, more empathetic communities. The foundation's signature initiative, Empatico, connects children's classrooms around the world to help kids expand their horizons and grow roots to lifelong empathy. The foundation's Frontline Impact Project supports frontline workers, such as healthcare workers battling COVID-19. Mr. Lubetzky holds a BA in Economics and International Relations from Trinity University and a Juris Doctor degree from Stanford Law School. He was nominated by the New York State organization Patrice Berner Regent. Daniel relates, "My father's war experience is a true story of survival and triumph over adversity. Of all the many things he taught us, I think the most important was to be a kind person. He celebrated life every day and brought kindness to all he met. It was a lesson I learned well." Congratulations, and thank you, Mr. Lubetzky, for your work to make this world a kinder place.
Good evening. It's so good to be here with all of you. I'm honored to accept this year's Daughters of the American Revolution Americanism Medal. As a proud American who immigrated here when I was 16 years old and I came from Mexico, I've never taken for granted a lot of the values that make this country so special and so exceptional. I want to share two things that I remember from when I arrived to San Antonio, Texas, when I turned 16 years old. One is that I was struck that my friends felt comfortable criticizing our president, Ronald Reagan, I found it disrespectful and offensive, but frankly, I also probably felt very intimidated because in Mexico at that time, you couldn't criticize your president or you would get in very serious trouble. And upon reflection, I realized how incredibly liberating it is that there really is nobody that's above the law, that our president is here to serve the people, not for the people to serve the president. And in a lot of countries, it's not like that. And we should remember to make sure that every politician understands that they're here public servants to serve our country. The second thing I remember is in the mid-'80s, how people, politicians, thinkers would very, very vehemently disagree, but then go to dinner at night and be best of friends. It was an incredible model how people could debate the issues, but like one another. And these are two values that I find incredibly important and worthy of not taking for granted and protecting. In particular, today I notice that people have lost the ability to recognize that they might disagree with one another and still have a lot to learn from one another. And it's something we need to really reaffirm and capture, not just for the sake of our great country, but also for our enterprises to thrive. I learned at Kind and other social enterprises that I've created that one of the best things we can do is create a culture of hearty debate so that the marketplace of ideas can help us unlock the best that our companies and communities and country have. And as long as we're respectfully debating one another, we probably can learn that there's a lot that every one of us has to give. And whether you're coming from the left or from the right or from the center, we all can learn from one another. Our differences can be the source of some of our greatest strengths as long as we engage with empathy and curiosity and a spirit of collaboration. My father didn't have it so good. He was a Holocaust survivor. He was liberated from the Dachau concentration camp by American soldiers, people that risked their lives to go across a continent and save people they had never met before, including my dad and my grandfather and my uncle. It's really not lost on me that as a 16-year-old, I arrived here in this country with my parents with a lot of opportunities, while as a 15 and a half or 16-year-old, my dad was liberated and only had a third grade education and was almost, weighed almost nothing and almost died. And one of the lessons that I drew from this was first to recognize how special our country is and its role that it's had in advancing democracy and literally liberating Europe from totalitarianism, and my commitment to prevent what happened to my dad from happening again to other human beings. It is for that reason that I created first, right after law school, a company called Peaceworks that sought to bring people together using the power of business. So we started ventures in the Middle East between Israelis, Palestinians, Jordanians, Egyptians, and Turks, and in other parts across the world. We brought neighbors striving to coexist using the power of democratic market forces of business to discover each other's humanity and to shatter stereotypes and to gain vested interest in preserving those relationships. I also created a movement called One Voice that sought to empower moderates in the Middle East so they would not be hijacked by absolutism, extremism, or terrorism. And so violent extremists wouldn't prevent the vast majority of Israelis and Palestinians and Jews and Arabs across the region from trying to fulfill their potential. I've been a little bit concerned, or significantly concerned, over the last several years about how lack of moderation and intolerance are seeping into the consciousness of our great country. And together with many other foremost business leaders and celebrities and cultural figures and academic leaders, I'm very pleased to share with you that I'm in the process of creating a platform to encourage fearless moderation so that people from the center, left, or right can learn to be critical thinkers, critical listeners, empathetic to one another, and also for all of us to just develop a little bit of a thicker skin, not get so easily offended, not be so judgmental, be a little bit more forgiving, and just preserve our sense of humor and our ability to thrive together and to get the most out of this country by working together as one nation, indivisible for all of us. We all have a role to play on that journey. I can appreciate that it might be intimidating for individuals to ask, what is it that we can do as people in this great big country with a big set of institutions and government and gigantic corporations and institutions? How can I as a person change the world? Well, every single one of us has the ability to change the world every single day through our very small actions that we start. Every single day, if we treat each other with kindness, if we smile to one another, if we're respectful, if we model those habits, those daily habits of listening and respect and kindness, we're going to create the culture and recapture that social fabric that America has had for over 200 years that has made this country so special. But we cannot take it for granted. We all need to engage on that journey. I want to commend the Daughters of the American Revolution for your continued work to empower individuals across the nation to reach out into the communities with empathy, with curiosity, and with the spirit of collaboration, including across lines of divide. Together, we can continue to weave these values into the fabric of this great nation. Thank you and be well.
Thank you, Mr. Lubetsky, for your leadership in humanitarian efforts and for giving back to your adopted country. It has long been a goal of the DAR to honor, preserve, and share the history of America's founding with successive generations. As a result, for more than 130 years, we have supported schools, provided scholarships, sponsored essay contests, and promoted the teaching of American history. This is a vision we share with the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History. Founded in 1994 by Richard Gilder and Louis E. Lehrman, Gilder Lehrman Institute was created with a mission of promoting the study and interest in American history. Today, the Institute has become the leading nonprofit organization dedicated to K-12 history education as well as serving the public. It offers extensive resources through educational programs and the Gilder Lehrman Collection, housing more than 75,000 documents and offering teachers, students, and the general public direct access to unique primary source materials. Here's a brief introduction to the Gilder Lehrman Institute and its amazing work.
Last March, K-12 education faced a critical moment. Students, teachers, and parents needed high-quality programming and resources for the abrupt transition to remote learning.
Like many educators, I felt as if my classes were stolen from me in March.
Our school abruptly closed in mid-March, and all our teachers were forced to adapt almost instantaneously.
The Institute sprang into action, creating several brand new digital programs designed to help students, parents, and teachers in need.
Gilder Lehrman essays have been a way for me to get a change of pace and a change of medium because they express reliable, accurate information, but in a different way that is more accessible for me, and it makes it easier to understand the material.
Welcome to the Hamilton Education Program Online.
First, the Institute worked with the producers of Hamilton to create EduHam at Home, a digital version of the Hamilton Education Program designed expressly for online remote learning.
Hello and welcome to Inside the Vault.
This was followed by two very popular online programs that continue to this day. Inside the Vault, which offers a first-hand look at the rare and unique documents in the Gilder Lehrman collection.
I love that I could attend a session and take that knowledge and share it with my students the next day.
And Book Breaks, where renowned historians discuss their latest works in live weekly conversations.
I've had the pleasure of listening to some of those conversations by scholars I admire, people like Annette Gordon-Reed and Eric Foner, and I had the opportunity to be a featured author in Book Breaks this past spring. The series has enabled us to connect with readers in an era of social distancing.
Next, the Institute created the Online History School, an exciting new initiative designed to fill critical learning gaps for K-12 students after schools closed. This ongoing program features resources created by award-winning historians, such as Henry Louis Gates Jr., and sessions led by National History Teacher of the Year award winners.
I've gotten to teach online history school this year. I'm getting to meet lots of new and different and creative students, and my students are getting to meet new teachers.
Since March 2020, Gilder Lehrman Institute has reinvented the delivery of its programming, created new resources, and increased the number of people we serve. Looking ahead to our shared future, a great opportunity will continue to exist for high-quality digital as well as in-person learning of American history and civics.
We're living in very interesting times right now. This is a very pivotal opportunity to really get young people to see the world differently.
The Gilder Lehrman Institute will remain committed to meeting the learning needs of teachers, students, their families, and all Americans. Our students today will be our leaders of tomorrow. Our goals of ending historical illiteracy and promoting civic engagement will help those leaders create a better America for all of us and for our children.
The President General's Medallion serves to honor those organizations that personify the spirit of the DAR through exceptional service to our country as demonstrated by their commitment to historic preservation, education, and patriotism. It is a distinct honor to present the President General's Medallion to the Gilder Lehrman Institute for its outstanding work as a symbol of the DAR's appreciation for the Institute's mission and reach. I am pleased to introduce President James Basker to accept this award on behalf of the Institute.
Thank you, President General Van Buren, for that introduction and for bestowing this year's President General's Medallion on the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History. Everyone at the Institute is thrilled and grateful for this prestigious award and for the recognition it carries of our work in history education. I'm Jim Basker, President of the Gilder Lehrman Institute, and behind me you can see the waters of Sag Harbor, New York, a peaceful, scenic little port on the eastern end of Long Island where my wife and I have been living the past year, and where 240 years ago a small but important battle in the Revolutionary War took place. On May 23, 1777, Colonel Return Jonathan Meigs led 234 men in a flotilla of 13 whaleboats and 3 schooners from Guilford, Connecticut, across the Long Island Sound to raid this place, which was then held by the British as a supply depot. At 2 a.m. in the early morning of May 24th, Meigs and his men attacked the British stockade in town, sank 12 supply boats in the harbor, burned several warehouses full of provisions, and captured 90 enemy troops, all without a single casualty. The raiders even managed to carry the 90 prisoners back to Connecticut. To make the victory even sweeter, from that date on, the British never again occupied Sag Harbor, instead using bases further west and closer to their headquarters in New York City. By the way, I have to believe that there are descendants of Colonel Meigs and his men in the audience tonight, and I invite you to come see this place when you can. As I think about their daring raid, I like to think that Colonel Meigs and his men had a clear sense of what they were fighting for, why they were risking their lives by taking on the British, the greatest military power in the world at that time. The reason is that 10 months earlier, in July 1776, the Continental Congress had issued the Declaration of Independence, sent it out to all the states for circulation, and ordered that it be read aloud to all the soldiers in the Continental Army. I believe that the words and ideas of the Declaration were alive in the minds of Colonel Meigs and his men, and thousands of their fellow patriots. July 4th is coming up, and every July 4th we are reminded that unlike other countries, on our national holiday we celebrate not a military victory or a royal proclamation or a patron saint's holy day, but the day a document was issued proclaiming our shared ideals. Ideals such as freedom, self-government, equality, the rule of law, the subordination of the military to civilian authority, and even, as I found rereading the Declaration last night, the expansion of immigration to grow our population. We at the Gilder Lehrman Institute believe that the United States is an aspirational and inclusive country, a country of ideals, founded not on religion, ethnicity, race, or other accidents of birth, but on ideals that people of every background can embrace and make their own. This belief is at the core of our mission, to improve the teaching and learning of American history in K-12 schools and, more broadly, in the general public. The Institute began in the mid-1990s when two visionary men, the late Richard Gilder and Louis Lehrman, who is still our co-chairman, donated their extraordinary collection of 60,000 historical documents to the Institute and charged us with using those precious documents to promote the knowledge and understanding of American history for K-12 students and beyond. Since then, we have become one of the nation's leading not-for-profit providers of educational resources and programs in history and civics. To give you an idea, we have a network of 29,000 affiliate schools across all 50 states, growing by 2,000 per year. In them, we work with more than 60,000 teachers, and through those teachers reach some 7 million students. Our free online AP US History Study Guide is used by as many as 1 million students each year. And overall, more than 3.5 million people use the Gilder Lehrman website annually. We are also proud to sponsor the National History Teacher of the Year Award, launched by First Lady Laura Bush in 2004, which recognizes 50 state winners and a national winner every year. This year, more than 8,200 teachers were nominated. I should mention that anyone can nominate a teacher, a student, a parent, a colleague, a community member. So I hope everyone in the audience will nominate someone as soon as possible. Thanks to the genius of Lin-Manuel Miranda and the generosity of many supporters, we have partnered for 5 years with Hamilton the Musical on a national program through which more than 200,000 Title I students have researched founding era documents, created their own performance pieces, and then gone to see the show itself. For these disadvantaged kids, it is the experience of a lifetime. When COVID struck, we moved the Hamilton program online. This past year, some 5,000 teachers registered to use the curriculum, and through them, 400,000 students could participate. We have invented several new digital programs, including a free online history school open to any child in America, an online book program featuring major historians every Sunday afternoon, and Inside the Vault, a free online program in which curators and special guests present rare documents for discussion twice a month. Our largest new initiative, which involves publications and document exhibitions, history classes for students, and PD programs for teachers, is called Black Lives in the Founding Era. This broad-based initiative seeks to restore to view the lives and accomplishments of the thousands of African Americans who contributed to our country's founding. Among them, the more than 5,000 soldiers who fought in every battle, from Lexington and Bunker Hill to the final victory at Yorktown. We forget that the first man to die at Valley Forge was a black soldier from Connecticut, and that one observer at the Battle of Yorktown estimated that 25% of the American soldiers were black men. The initiative also tells the stories of African Americans who were spies and secret agents like Jane Cogswell and James Armistead Lafayette, writers like Phyllis Wheatley and Jupiter Hammond, merchants like Cyrus Bustle and James Fortin, ministers like Absalom Jones and Richard Allen, or community leaders like Prince Hall and Benjamin Banneker, among many others. This is partly why we were so pleased to see our good friend and Gilder Lehrman trustee, the great historian Henry Louis Gates, Jr., honored by the DAR last year. Professor Gates himself descended from a black ancestor who fought in the Revolution. And why we are thrilled to note that the DAR has launched its own major initiative called E Pluribus Unum, with its Patriots of Color database and its goal to raise awareness of underrepresented Revolutionary War patriots. In this and so many other areas, the Gilder Lehrman Institute shares the aims of the DAR to promote the understanding and appreciation of American history, which, however imperfect and haunted by its failings, has at its core the ideals which inspired the founders, ideals that still have the potential to inspire people today and help move us toward what the writers of the Constitution declared to be our shared aspiration, a more perfect union. We welcome every DAR member in the audience tonight to join us in this work, whether by connecting us with a school or teacher in your community, sending a student to our website, or contacting us directly to get more involved in our programs. We welcome you all in the spirit of a common endeavor. Finally, On behalf of the trustees and staff of the Gilder Lehrman Institute, the thousands of teachers we work with, and the millions of children we serve, we thank the Daughters of the American Revolution for this honor and the encouragement it gives us to rededicate ourselves to our mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Basker, for being with us tonight as we honor the remarkable Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History. We salute your work and your impact on the study of our nation's heritage. Thank you. In fact, the study of American history forms the very bedrock of our National Society's mission. Daughters have long known that the study of our past is, in and of itself, a patriotic act. As we spread an appreciation for the Founding Fathers, their courage and their deeds, that work has never been more important than it is today. The NSDAR Excellence in American History Book Award recognizes outstanding scholarship in the chapters of our national story. To present the winner of the 2021 award, please welcome Laura Kessler, Historian General. Mrs. Kessler.
Madam President General, the NSDAR Excellence in American History Book Award recognizes distinguished historical literary works of nonfiction or biographies that have made an original contribution to the body of historical knowledge or added new information to previously familiar materials. The award-winning publication selected to receive the 2021 Excellence in American History Book Award is The Cabinet, George Washington, and the Creation of an American Institution by Dr. Lindsay M. Chervinsky. Sarah Giorgini, Ph.D., editor, The Papers of John Adams, extols Chervinsky's groundbreaking book as innovative scholarship, dynamic methodology, and independent research that demonstrates her passion for evolving what we know of early American past. By inviting us into the cabinet, Chervinsky illuminates our knowledge of Washington's worlds and demystifies the inner functions of an understudied part of our government. According to historian and author Ron Chernow, Lindsay Chervinsky's book is cogent, lucid, and concise. It gives us an indispensable guide to the creation of the cabinet. Madam President General, it gives me great pleasure to present the author of the cabinet, George Washington and the Creation of an American Institution, Dr. Lindsay M. Chervinsky.
Thank you so much to the President General and the Historian General for this honor and award, and of course to my chapter for nominating me. When I started the cabinet, I actually had no intention of writing a George Washington story. I knew the cabinet was in the Constitution and every president since Washington had used one, but I didn't really know where it came from or how it evolved or why it was so important, and those questions I wanted to answer. Well, most research projects, if done correctly, tend to lead you in directions you don't necessarily expect, and this book was no different. It turns out the cabinet is very much a Washington story. As I was completing my research on the man that I didn't really intend to set out to know, I discovered that he was not always very likable. He was deeply flawed, a mere mortal, and full of the contradictions that characterize humanity. He had a temper that could knock your socks off, a capacity for cruelty, and an ability to turn his back on relationships that had lasted for decades for political purposes. And yet, he was indispensable. There is no one else that could have held the Continental Army together for 8 years, and Washington was right when he said that as long as the Army survived, so too would the cause for independence. There's no one else that could have brought the gravitas to the Constitutional Convention, and there's no one else that could have been the first president. Now, that sounds like hyperbole and the stuff of legends that we historians so often avoid. But as I was doing my research, I kept discovering over and over again that both his allies and his critics, especially his critics, recognized his essentialness. I think the best way to actually understand Washington's essentialness is through the cabinet. Washington created the cabinet because he understood that some problems and some questions are just too big for one person to have all the answers or to be able to solve themselves. Washington's creation of the cabinet was actually a reflection of his greatest leadership strength, He knew his own weaknesses and was not afraid to ask for help or support or advice from people with different experience and expertise than his own. Because there was no model to follow when creating the cabinet, Washington literally copied and pasted the practices that he had perfected in the councils of war during the Revolution into the executive branch, meaning the cabinet is literally a reflection of his personal leadership experience. Towards the end of Washington's presidency, he actually moved away from the cabinet, preferring one-on-one consultations, written advice, or even meeting with people outside of the administration. In doing so, he left a really essential legacy. The cabinet is intended to be flexible and to serve the needs of the president. If he or she wants to meet with the cabinet weekly, then they can do that. If they prefer to talk with people outside of the administration, whether it be family members, friends, former colleagues, they can do that too. And those relationships generally take place outside of congressional or public oversight. Now, some presidents have taken that flexibility and gone on to do extraordinary things. Others have floundered a bit more. But the peril and the promise and the potential of the cabinet and its place at the heart of the presidency is, I think, one of Washington's longest lasting and most underappreciated legacies. I'd like to take a moment to finalize my remarks here tonight by telling you what this award means to me personally. In January 2020, I joined the Mount Vernon chapter of the DAR, mostly initially because I just wanted to do something nice with my grandmother, who was a member in upstate New York. Now, of course, the name of the chapter appealed to me and I appreciated their commitment to historic preservation, but initially, I mostly just wanted to bond with my grandmother. Corinne Watkins Stork embodied everything that the DAR cherishes. She graduated as the valedictorian of her high school and received a dual degree in linguistics and French from Cornell University at a time when most women didn't go to Ivy League institutions. She was a fierce advocate for her daughter's education and extracurricular activities at a time when women generally didn't get the same opportunities as men, and that was not something she was ever willing to accept. She and my grandfather were pillars of their community, bringing in community building, education, and historic preservation opportunities to their small town. And they were such enthusiastic grandparents, often flying 3,000 miles for music recitals, competitions, and graduations. When the cabinet came out last year, she bought a copy for every member in her DAR chapter and proudly carried around all of the marketing materials in her purse. Unfortunately, she's not here to see this award today, but I know she would have loved every minute of this ceremony and would have been so excited to see it. I want to thank you all to have the opportunity to honor her memory and her legacy in this way. It is truly a privilege and a gift that I will remember for the rest of my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay, for your commitment to studying American history. It makes us so very proud to be citizens of this great nation, and we thank you, Mrs. Kessler. During this administration, we've placed a special emphasis on honoring the men and women who achieved American independence. I'm so grateful to all of the members and chapters that have found new ways to commemorate the Patriots' memories and achievements on the local level. On the national level, I'm proud to share news of some important accomplishments in our quest to honor our Patriot ancestors. It's exciting to announce a DAR podcast will launch on Independence Day. 2 new episodes will be added weekly to the Our Patriots DAR podcast, with each episode taken from the pages of American Spirit magazine. We're also proud to premiere a DAR coloring book titled Our Patriots, offering middle school students a fun opportunity to learn more about the men and women who achieved American independence. The coloring book will be sold at the DAR store, as well as historic sites such as Mount Vernon, and online from various retailers, with a portion of sales benefiting our society. The E Pluribus Unum educational initiative, launched at last year's Congress, seeks to identify more underrepresented patriots in order to both raise awareness of their contributions to our American heritage and to welcome their descendants into DAR membership. A 5-year effort designed to expand research into the experiences of people of color, including patriots of African, indigenous, and non-European or mixed heritage descent. It will also provide more resources about women during the colonial period. Already, a new online database called Patriots of Color and a DAR Museum online exhibit have been created, and future plans include hiring a specialty researcher to bolster historical information and resources on this important topic. I'm also very excited to announce a new collaboration with the American Battlefield Trust. Our National Society and the Trust have a long history of preserving American history and educating the public about how this nation was founded, what it means to be an American citizen, and why that matters so very much today. Together, we have the opportunity to celebrate the democratic ideals enshrined in our Declaration of Independence and to honor those men and women who fought for America's independence. Let's learn more about the work and the mission of the American Battlefield Trust.
Our independence was not preordained. It was won on the battlefield by brave soldiers willing to sacrifice everything for an ideal, a hope, the promise of liberty.
While the Daughters of the American Revolution and the American Battlefield Trust are two separate entities, we are united in our commitment to honor the sacrifices of America's founding generation.
I'm thrilled to be here today to let you know how happy all of us at the Trust are, not just me, but everyone, that we are going to be able to come together to unite with the Daughters of the American Revolution to celebrate the 250th birthday of our common country, and to tell the stories, the challenging ones, the inspirational ones, about the people and places that figured in our common country's founding.
We propose to collaborate with DAR and the National Park Service to save 2,500 acres of Revolutionary War battlefield land during the next decade. These are the places where our independence was secured. The preservation of these hallowed grounds is urgent. It cannot wait. We will pair the DAR's unrivaled archives with the Trust's digital expertise to bring to life the ordinary men and the ordinary women who secured our independence through an online gateway. This online experience will use cutting-edge technology, animated maps, virtual tours, and augmented reality, thus enabling us to share the compelling stories of the revolution with modern audiences.
Thank you so much for joining us. Together we will create a legacy that will last far beyond the 250th birthday of our country.
As daughters, we recognize that it would be impossible to fulfill the promise of our nation if we don't appreciate the story of its founding. Our joyful obligation to honor the memory of our patriot ancestors often involves preserving buildings and sites that are integral to telling the individual stories that make possible our common national foundation. One such touchstone can be found on a busy street corner in the heart of Baltimore, a modest home that has stood witness to centuries of change, a sentinel standing a solitary watch with a unique connection to our American story. For no ordinary woman took up residence in this otherwise ordinary home on East Pratt Street back in 1806. Seamstress Mary Young Pickersgill and her female laborers would one day be hired to sew by hand a massive garrison flag stretching 40 feet by 32 feet for these new United States, a flag designed to fly with pride over Baltimore Harbor at Fort McHenry. It became, of course, the flag we know today as the Star-Spangled Banner, the inspiration for the Francis Scott Key poem that eventually became our national anthem. Now a National Historic Landmark, the house operates as a museum owned by the city of Baltimore and retains much of its original character, showcasing many early 19th century objects that belong to the family. A large part of its mission is dedicated to promoting the legacy of craftswoman Mary Young Pickersgill, those who helped her in their contributions to our American history. On behalf of the National Society, I'm proud to present the Excellence in Historic Preservation Certificate and Medal to the Star-Spangled Banner Flag House, an award that honors those groups and individuals that have saved and preserved local history. Accepting on behalf of the museum is Amanda Davis, Executive Director.
Good evening. My name is Amanda Shores Davis. I'm the Executive Director of the Star-Spangled Banner Flag House and Museum in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm honored to be with you this evening to accept the Excellence in Historic Preservation Award on behalf of the Flag House. The Flag House is an accredited American Alliance of Museums organization and is committed to our mission of promoting the history of the story of the making of the Star-Spangled Banner, preserving the legacy of craftswoman Mary Young Pickersgill, and inspiring personal connections to American history. Baltimore City purchased the Flag House in 1927, and the Star-Spangled Banner Flag House Association opened it as a public museum in 1928, ensuring its preservation as a patriotic shrine. The Flag House has been a National Historic Landmark since 1970, and for the last 94 years has worked to evolve its interpretation and educational programs with the goal of connecting the public with the importance of the Flag House as a women's history and patriotic site. In 2020, the Flag House was selected as an Institute of Museum and Library Services Inspire Grant recipient with the purpose of updating its interpretive plan. The new interpretive priorities of the Flag House will include giving agency and voice to the women who have been silenced and entirely erased from the retelling of the story of the Star-Spangled Banner. In 2022, the museum will launch its new interpretive menu that will allow for the critical exploration of the history of the Flag House as a site where proud American women were successful heads of household and business owners, despite having to overcome the challenges of their sex and social station. We hope that by viewing American history and the story of the Star-Spangled Banner through the female lens, that we will be able to connect with broader and more diverse audiences than ever before. On behalf of the Star-Spangled Banner Flag House and its board of directors, I would like to thank President General Van Buren and the Daughters of the American Revolution for this kind and generous award. The Flag House looks forward to promoting and preserving the Flag House for another 94 years and beyond.
Thank you to Amanda, to her board, and to the City of Baltimore for ensuring that the story of Mary's contribution to our national history is appreciated by present and future generations. Recognizing that they symbolize our rich national heritage, the broad stripes and bright stars of our flag stir powerful emotions. Generations of Americans have risen to serve beneath her folds, and too many have fallen in her defense. Seeing our flag unfurl against a deep blue sky makes every patriotic American's heart swell with pride. Respect for our flag, then, is an important part of good citizenship, including reverence for its proper retirement and disposal. It is with a grateful citizen's heart that I next recognize the American Legion for its coast-to-coast program to educate and demonstrate proper respect and disposal of our nation's flag. Comprised of U.S. Army war veterans, the Legion's volunteer members have disposed of hundreds of thousands of American flags since officially adopting this role in 1937. Their dignified tributes to our national symbol have educated generations of Americans about due and proper treatment for our nation's standard. I am pleased to recognize Mr. James Oxford, National Commander, for the work of the American Legion.
Hello, I'm Bill Oxford, the National Commander of the American Legion. I'd like to salute President General Denise Doring Van Buren and the patriotic Daughters of the American Revolution. Our organizations have so much in common. The theme of your opening is Proud to be an American. One of the four founding pillars of the American Legion is Americanism. We both love our country and our flag. Your dedication to American history, patriotism, education, and scholarships is inspirational. The Daughters of the American Revolution show our support for America's heroes through our great programs. We cherish and display among ourselves traits such as courage, patriotism, integrity, freedom, sacrifice. These are the values that America has long nurtured. And with the help of our two organizations, we always will. God bless America and the Daughters of the American Revolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Commander Oxford, and please express our appreciation to your members for their service in uniform to our nation. With tonight's theme of Proud to be an American, it likely comes as little surprise that we next honor a performer who has raised his voice to honor our flag, our nation, and its people with enormous impact. It's with a great deal of pride that we now recognize Lee Greenwood for his lifetime love of country and lasting contribution to our patriotic songbook. Music and America have always been at the core of Mr. Greenwood's life. After graduating high school in California in 1960, Lee performed in Reno, Nevada with his band, the Apollos. Acclaim and hard work resulted in performances across the country. While touring in the back of his bus in 1983, Lee Greenwood penned the greatest song of his career. God Bless the USA hit the top 5 of the country singles chart in 1991 and again in 2001 after the events of September the 11th. In fact, having also risen to the top 5 in 2003, it holds the distinction of being the only song in any genre of music to achieve this feat 3 times. It's little wonder that CBS News has called God Bless the USA as the most recognizable patriotic song in America. In addition to his music, throughout his career, Mr. Greenwood has leveraged his success to serve and advocate for the U.S. military. His tireless efforts in support of service members and veterans are shining examples of one individual's ability to give back to this land we love. In recognition of his profound impact on our nation through his music, we present Lee Greenwood with the Ellen Hardin Walworth Founders Medal for Patriotism, an award reserved for those who have displayed outstanding patriotism in the promotion of our American ideals of God, home, and country through their service to community, state, or nation. Mr. Greenwood, it is an honor to recognize your work and to welcome you to our opening night ceremony.
Hello, I'm Lee Greenwood. First, let me welcome you to this virtual meeting of the Continental Congress of the DAR. Secondly, let me say thank you to the Daughters of the American Revolution for this very prestigious award, the Medal of Patriotism. The DAR stands for God, Country, Patriotism, the promotion of education, and the preservation of history and historical sites in America. That's what this award stands for me, and I'm humbled to receive it. Thirdly, in 2022, we'll be back again at Constitution Hall for the 131st meeting of the Continental Congress. I intend on being there so that I can receive this award once again in person. Without the dedication of the members of the DAR, much of our history would have been lost. So congratulations to them for this virtual meeting, keeping us all in communication. Again, thank you for this wonderful award. I'll see you next year. God bless the DAR, and God bless the USA.
Thank you, Lee Greenwood, for giving voice to our passionate love of country all across the USA. We are proud to share this rendition of your most famous song, a rendition film with the contributions of an a cappella group, Home Free, and the members of the United States Air Force Band.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, where the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. To be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, oh, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, oh, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I'd rather stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt of this land. God bless the USA. God bless this country, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless, please bless the USA.
Through music, history, respect for our flag, and an appreciation of our rights and responsibilities as U.S. citizens, I sincerely hope that you agree that we have together tonight expressed a deep and abiding love of country. For as members of the DAR, we are indeed proud to be Americans. Thank you for being a part of our patriotic program, and please continue to stand proud with me to honor our heritage and our future as citizens of the greatest nation in the history of man. That includes joining us on Saturday for our National Defense Night, when we will salute the men and women in uniform who protect our American way of life. You will next want to join us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, when we officially open our 130th Continental Congress for Business, present the accomplishments of your executive officers, and hear the reports of half of our hardworking state regents. Please note that there are also many additional live and recorded opportunities being staged to help you experience Continental Congress beyond our official sessions. Visit the schedule of events on the Virtual Congress website to learn more about our array of virtual event offerings. Our officers, clubs, state societies, and volunteers have amassed a wide range of workshops, events, and presentations, all for you, ladies. So please, make the most of them. The 130th Continental Congress is recessed until 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Thursday morning. Good night.